Good morning. We have swarms of butterflies ready to go. We want to thank our veterans and honor those who have passed and celebrating um, Dia de los Muertos. We're going to meet up at the park in Monrovia, and you are welcome to join us on Saturday at sunset. And we'll be releasing about 100 butterflies in honor of our veterans and, as I mentioned, those who've gone before us. I'm Mary Winters. I am a gerontologist, the owner of About Senior Solutions, and you're watching this show. It's called Visionary Aging because we wanted to put resources together for you and make sure that you are able to live your best life ever. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Veterans Day, but we're going to talk about functional medicine too. Functional medicine is a little bit different than traditional medicine. And if Steve was with us today, he's off camping, he would be asking this very specific question about functional medicine. So let me go ahead and we'll just go ahead and play his intro anyway. So the question Steve got today is, my mom is seeing several doctors and it feels like no one is talking to one another. They're not connected. They don't know what the other one is doing. So what can I do to provide more streamlined care for her? And I think the best thing is to, well, first of all, take your medication into the primary doctor that she has now, everything. So if they don't know that another doctor has prescribed something, you should line that bag of medication up and make sure that the primary doctor knows exactly what's going on. So from there, your doctor should be able to take a look at what kinds of illnesses she has, who the specialists are, how closely does he work with those other specialists, and really start looking at some responses or some support for your mom to really better her care and make her services much more congruent. We'll talk a little bit more with Melinda too, because we want to talk about what functional medicine is, and we'll get into that detail a little bit more. But functional medicine is interesting because it looks more at the root cause of an illness versus that doesn't sound good. Let's go ahead and see if you can go ahead and take this. So it's a little bit different. Holistic medicine is a little bit different also than functional medicine. We'll talk about those things, but that might be something you want to look at for your mom as well. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about our some of our services that we've been offering. And I'm going to look for our little mini commercial, and we'll be back in just a second. So we've been providing something called life enhancement, and we have life enhancement coaches who work with us. We're actually looking for more coaches to work with us as well. And the wonderful thing about life enhancement is that once we're able to look at an individual in their situation that may be very chaotic, or they're in crisis, they're transitioning from one location to another, from the hospital or to home, or from their home into an assisted living setting, say. Once they become stable, what else is there for them to do as far as creating purpose and supporting some of the things that are really important to them? So our life enhancement coaches go out and assess them, look at what they're able to do, what they want to do, and what could fit into their day. And we create wonderful programming just individually for that person. So that is what we do. We also are doing some really neat stuff with the board and cares with a virtual program. Let me go ahead and show this to you because I think it's really special. We have a program called Life Enhancement, but it's being delivered in the board and care. So if you are familiar with board and care facilities, most of them have about 6 residents in the board and care. And they're not trained to do activities, but they're required to do activities. You may see games and different things, and maybe they are involved in different things during the day, which is amazing. This is a program that sets up onto their TV, and the residents that are interested in participating can come in, and we have these wonderfully designed classes so that they can participate and enjoy. I'm pretty much blown away by the fact that um, they're discussing that people want to stay up more, they're more engaged, they're interested in talking with the other residents and with the caregivers there, not go to bed. They're more flexible. That was an interesting one too. So it means that they're functioning at a higher level and they're enjoying life so much more with this small little program that we're doing every weekday, that they can participate with their fellow residents there. So we're enjoying doing this, and the residents are really enjoying it. The caregivers are loving it because they're getting extra training and the support, and they're co-leading these things and not expected to do it on their own. So if you have questions about that, to talk with you further, and just reach out and we'll get some information to you just reach out to 626-359-0108. But I think I want to also go ahead and bring Melinda in, talk a little bit about functional medicine and how important it is to really look at the root of issues. So let me go ahead and we'll bring her in just a second here. I thought you went away. I couldn't find you.
You're like, oh no, where is she? Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. So we're having our butterfly release on Saturday, and so I'm looking forward to being able to memorialize everyone and celebrate our 4th of July, or oh my gosh, our Veterans Day.
Yeah,
And in fact, the park is just filled with American flags. It's absolutely beautiful to walk by and see them. So it's a perfect place to also release our butterflies too.
that's going to be beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about functional medicine and more integrative medicine or holistic medicine, or you might hear chiropractic or doctor of osteopathy. Let's
Hmm.
talk a little bit about some of those differences and
Yeah,
how
well,
people benefit from that.
functional medicine, as you were saying earlier in the show, focuses on addressing the root cause of the illness. So, um, we're not just treating symptoms, and that tends to be the focus in conventional medicine. And I think
Exactly.
conventional medicine, when we go to our conventional doctors, they're so packed with patients and appointments. Um, I think it's difficult to really be able to sit down with one of their patients and really understand what's going on, the way that functional doctors can. So functional medicine also looks at how all the systems of the body are working together and that
Exactly.
interconnectedness of the body's systems. Um, and then it's also looking at functional medicine also looks at what other approaches, aside from treating the symptoms, can we apply to this situation? Are there dietary changes? Are there changes in movement that should be made, or
Right.
other lifestyle changes? So it's a little different from typical healthcare. Um,
It is. And
yeah.
sometimes it takes a little bit longer too to get through the process. So it's not unlike care management where we go in and look at what the problem is and
Hmm.
work to solve that in steps, because obviously we can't do it overnight and there's no magic pill, even though we may get that medication. Maybe it's often very necessary to have that
Yeah.
medication. But at the same time, what is really going on here? Why is this happening? I've seen so many things change when people change their nutrition, their diet, their lifestyle, their emotional well-being, their exercise programs. And when we look at ourselves in a holistic way, we we're not cutting off the arm to
Hmm.
spite the face kind of thing. And it's It's just important to look at the root cause. Otherwise, you're just cutting off the check engine light. It's like, "Here, take your medication," and
Yeah. I
how that
think
goes. Now you're
I
taking
think
8
it's im
medications.
it's important to have that functional medicine approach at the first sign of any symptom, because
Mhm.
usually what I always talk to our clients at the strength shop about how a symptom is just your body sending you a text message. It's just
Right,
a message from your body saying something's not running correctly, and I need you to look at this.
right.
So if it's a skin, eczema, and you're starting to have eczema or psoriasis, that's just a little message to the body that something's not quite right internally, and your body
Mhm.
wants you to pay attention to it and give it a fix. And I think a lot of times what we do in our society is we go to the doctor, we get the medication for the eczema or the psoriasis, and that medication is kind of covering up that body's message to something that's much deeper. And so the next thing that the body has to do is send you that message a little bit louder because you didn't listen to it the first time.
Yeah.
And then we get a deeper issue going on. And I think the big thing is to look at what are those first messages and how can we address those first messages so we don't get those louder messages, that those
Mhm.
issues don't progress into something a lot more serious.
Right.
Um,
And oftentimes it's related to stress. So the
mhm.
fact that functional medicine looks at the emotional, physical, sometimes even spiritual,
Yeah,
holistic
that's holistic.
physicians look
Yeah.
at that more too. But it's really important to look at all aspects of what make us one person. And I think about even nature. It's like if we have too much sun, things burn out, where they're talking
Hmm.
about the farmers and the soybeans all being burned out right now. If we
Yeah.
have too much water, then we have flooding and we don't have what we need too. So our bodies are that system of balancing also, and understanding that if we're not doing enough or doing too much, everything in moderation. Um,
Yes.
so it becomes this balance that we really need to find for ourselves.
And the body's job is to communicate when things aren't right. If you feel cold, it means that you need to put on a sweater,
Right.
and for a lot of those messages, we're used to ignoring them, or we're used to throwing the band-aid on them, and we've kind of lost our ability to really listen to our bodies and what our bodies are communicating, in a lot of ways. So one of my favorite people to follow on social media is
Mhm.
a doctor by the name of Doug McGuff, and he wrote a book
Mm,
called Body by Science, which is about the training style that we use at the Strength Shop. And Doug owns a studio in South Carolina that specializes in the same technique that the Strength Shop does, but that's not his career. His career is an emergency room physician. And so one, he spoke at the Icelandic Health Symposium in 2017, and his talk is on YouTube if anyone wants to hear it. But it's really, really wonderful. And it talks about bending the aging curve and how
mhm.
adding exercise into someone's life, even much later in their years, can get them into a place of health that nearly matches someone who's exercised their whole life. So it's a very
Interesting.
fascinating talk. But one of the things that he talks about is that how in his career as an emergency room physician, he's expanding helping someone extend their life by potentially minutes, days, weeks, maybe even months. But at his studio, where they specialize in the high intensity strength training, he's helping people extend their lifespan and their health span by decades. So he's a big proponent, as someone in conventional medicine, of a real holistic approach, an approach that looks at the lifestyle choices that someone's making. And he talks about miraculous things whenever people who come to him who can barely walk and they start to do this slow motion strength training and just have these full on unexpected recoveries where they're experiencing good health for many, many years after that. Um,
And
so,
that's the important thing, the quality of life.
yeah,
We can live, as long as we want. Well, not as long as
exactly.
we want, but we can live with medications and all kinds of propping us up. But what kind of life do you wanna live? And that's the whole reason for the show too, is to provide these
Mm-hmm.
resources so that people understand that they're out there. And we take kind of a good, better, best approach in our
Mm-hmm.
office. So it's like, okay, you've been doing that. And maybe some of that's really good. Maybe some of it's not so good, but let's see if we can get to good with just a few things. And then maybe, something else that we improve and then something else. So it's very gradual to where it feels comfortable instead of just these very, you know, cutthroat kind of
Yeah,
really
that's not
extreme
necessary.
types of they never work. Uh,
Mm-mm.
so I'm also gonna bring up Shape Up too, because that's our core to how we really focus on, or what we want you to focus on, and make primary, um, kind of, decisions over wanting to improve. But you want to improve. You have to want to improve. We can't want you to improve them. But we look at spiritual community, a healthy life balance that's including stress and sleeping. Are you laughing? Are you getting to your doctors and managing some of the critical things in your life? What is your attitude and who are your influencers? Do you have those positive things, of people that bring you up, or there are people that just bring you down? Are you the person that people are avoiding because you're complaining all the time? Do we need to make a little adjustment with your own attitude? Physical activity, this is where you come in, and so important. And eating habits as well. We look at United Family. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's just your family. It's who your family of choice is, and your purpose. What can we do to help support your purpose? So I find that just focusing on a few of these things, or at least just one of these things at a time, with just tiny little baby steps that we can take along the way, people are so much happier and feeling like they have so much more control over their lives. So it's really a joy to work with people and walk through these assessments and just see how we can put more joy span into their life, as well as health span and lifespan.
Yeah, I think it's also the expectations that we have. And that's one of the things that I like to talk to people about too, is that, the expectation that I see in my hometown in Ohio or with my ancestors is this expectation that as we grow older, we're going to unavoidably gain weight, unavoidably experience like pain and disease and illness. And that is just a natural part of aging. And it's really not. It's
No,
really what the norm is, especially in our country in the US, is not necessarily even close to the potential of what we can do as aging humans. And certainly that's something that Doug McGuff points out in his Icelandic symposium speech, is that there are the people who experience this high level of health till the day they die are not, they're outliers, but there's nothing abnormal about them. They're not exceptional. They just made different choices. And
no,
it's,
I agree, and I look at
yeah.
my brother-in-law's grandmother, who lived to be nearly 100, and it's also, I think, accepting who you are and not comparing ourselves as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yeah.
And I could see the wrinkles from the sunshine in a hotel room in Yucaipa heading out to the desert, and I could see I'm gonna be 60, and it's okay. Maybe I'll wanna do something with these wrinkles one day, but, I would rather have the inside working really well, and
Mm-hmm.
this stuff is the natural stuff that changes, and I don't have any control over. I wanna see, other than maybe putting moisturizers on or something internally that I can take to maybe help saturate my skin and increase my collagen, but, um, I wanna improve from the inside out to make
Yeah.
sure that I'm living well. And to your point of what Dr. McGuff is discussing, we have a lot of control over that, and I think that's the thing that's so wonderful.
Yeah. And the control to reverse a situation that has already progressed.
Yes.
And that's what's exciting too. I think people feel hopeless
Mhm.
when they're already experiencing a certain level of discomfort or pain. And we see that all the time in our studio with physical pain, as far as like lack of muscular support for the joints and things like that, is that people could be experiencing like debilitating back pain for years and years and years. We had one client who came to see us because sleeping in his bed was painful because his back
Mm,
muscles were so weak. There was no support. So even laying down was painful. And just by strengthening the muscles within months, that was no longer an issue for him at all. And it was something that was debilitating. He wasn't able to sleep. So I think what's surprising to people, or I guess what many people don't really believe or know, and it makes them feel hopeless, is that a lot of these things can be reversed, and with the right help, without a lot of time, without
right, with not
it
without
can
I mean,
be
there may be
a
we
few
don't want
months and you're
people to be
feeling
in
better.
pain. We don't want
Yeah.
people to be in pain, and to what level needs to be pushed, or working with their physician, or even physical therapy, what's appropriate to do or not do. But we also have to deal with apathy and depression with people
Yeah.
who are also walking through some of these challenges, and really difficult, and talking about attitude and influencers, be around the most positive people that you can to support what you are going through. And um, it's life is hard sometimes, and so sometimes it's really
Hmm.
important to reach out and ask for that help. We have something from the perk today. It's
Ooh.
called Forget Me Not Day. So let me show you. And it looks like, well, it's the beautiful flower, the forget me not, but you can ask for the perk to be sent to you for free. We have a wonderful word search back here, and it's talking about helping the brain and doing things that are a little bit different. It's kind of fun going back to functional medicine and looking at all the things that we need to do to really support ourselves as a whole person, as
Hmm.
several body systems all connected together. The perk is just a fun little thing that you can go ahead and enjoy. Our Director of Client Services, Jenny Delgado, she'll get that out to you. You can just reach out to her, go on to our website at aboutsenior-solutions.com, and you can get it every single month for free and send it to whoever you want. It's just a fun little thing to be part of. But her mom, who is into her 90s, thought it was kind of silly, kind of poo-pooed it, and she takes it everywhere with her now. She really enjoys it.
That's awesome.
Beautiful handwriting. So we're going to put a letter that she put together talking about how much she enjoys this perk. We'll put that on our website so that you can see what she says about it. So, and then tomorrow, of course, is Veterans Day, and we're going to be doing something really fun with the butterflies. So I'm looking forward to that. It won't quite be like this migration of monarchs going out to Mexico, but we'll have quite a few. So if you want to join us at Monrovia Park, Library Park in Monrovia, near sunset tomorrow, we will be there, and we will give you a little box with a butterfly to release on your own. So we're looking forward to that too.
I'm looking
But
forward to that. I think it's going to be really cool.
oh, it's going to be super cool. Really, really fun. So we have a couple more minutes. What else do you want to say about the strength shop?
The strength shop is now getting into somatic experiencing. And I guess I'd like to explain to people a little bit about what that is.
Yeah.
Somatic experiencing is healing the body from what the feelings are in the body, like from the body
Mm,
it's therapy that's not from the mind, that doesn't start from us talking about whatever the situation is, but from us feeling what's in the body. And my husband and I are becoming certified practitioners and infusing this work into what we do with people, helping them create physical strength in their bodies. We're also trying to increase their emotional resilience by this adding this type of healing. But one of the things that you were touching on when we were speaking about the Shape Up program is how people may be feeling depression and they get kind of stuck in that feeling. A lot of times we get stuck in those feelings too because we're not actually letting ourselves feel them fully. And
right.
it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be angry. These feelings are natural and they're part of how we, anger, for instance, is part of how we draw boundaries in our life. We become
Mhm.
angry at something and then we know that that's not okay with us. So a lot of times our feelings have a purpose. And so if we can allow ourselves to feel hurt by something that someone did, and we allow ourselves to have the experience and be able to process that emotion, we don't have to continue to carry it with us or for the rest of our lives. We can allow that feeling to have a completion, and be able to be released from our body so that we can move on.
And
Um,
I've heard about this, and it sounds practical. And I have to say, it's not something that's really easy, especially someone who has probably shoved feelings through
mhm.
food or stress or um, kind of avoidance. And I think the guidance for something like this could be so helpful. So I really appreciate that you're sharing that and that you're doing this kind of work.
Yeah, I think it's the future of, where holistic health is going. Just my experience going to a somatic therapist for my own my own healing. There's been a lot of realizations that I've had, from just listening to my body, and those
Mm,
realizations have had an absolute made a difference in the choices that I make and the way that I'm living my life now, and that those choices and the way I'm living my life now has decreased the anxiety I may feel day to day, or the depression, or it's brought me into a more empowered feeling in my own life. So it's
absolutely.
very interesting. And then of course those feelings, the way that we feel inside of our bodies, they do have a relationship with our physical health, and of that is very,
It
very
does. It
important. Yeah.
absolutely is. That's why functional medicine is so important, or holistic medicine is so important, because we're not looking at everything going on with us. And I think that's what the health providers are doing a better job with. The larger health
Hmm.
insurance companies are supporting more of the care management or case management, well, care management inside of their programming so that they can really look at sharing insights with individuals to understand where is this coming from and what little things are you willing to change. I feel like our care
Yeah.
management has really kind of made an effect across the country, really, as far as what is care management. That's been a goal, to understand what is care management, what can it provide for you, how can it improve your situation. And they're realizing on a larger level that this needs to take place, and I think it's a great thing. So when we look at what really is ailing us and you really drill it down, it's it's something that can be so little, something that
Hmm.
can be, like, related to loss, or relationships.
Yeah.
It creates that stir, that real concern in our in our inner being. So,
And
you're
that's why
absolutely.
the somatic piece is so exciting, because a lot of, especially, like when I'm working with people binge eating behaviors, or
Mhm.
um, any emotional eating, it's being driven from something unhealed within
It is.
ourselves, and
Mhm.
being able to touch on that and actually resolve that allows the person the freedom from those compulsive behaviors. Because I
Mhm.
think that that's been the issue in, the health and fitness industry. When you've had someone struggling from binge eating or emotional eating, the directives are always eat, more fruits and vegetables, don't,
Yeah.
manage your portions. And for somebody who's suffering from compulsive behavior as a result of unprocessed emotional trauma, that they don't have the capacity to feel safely, or they don't have the capacity to deal with in those moments, you're
Mhm.
basically trying to take their security blanket away without giving them the resources to be okay without it.
Exactly. We
And
need we
yeah,
need to have the resources to support, moving forward and to grow and to change and to heal, so
there
really
has to
important.
be a certain level of healing so people feel safe enough where that behavior isn't the necessity to keep them feeling okay, or to make
Exactly,
to make things tolerable. So
exactly.
yeah, it's really
Well,
it's really exciting where things are going, and what we're learning about the body, and how the
it's
body, mind, and
amazing.
spirit are all intertwined.
They absolutely
Mhm.
are. It's like nature and sun and water and rain and night and day, and it's just, we need it. So
Yeah.
have a fantastic Veterans Day, everyone. Melinda, tell everybody how to get a hold of you if they want to reach out to the
Yeah.
strengths.
If you'd like to learn more about somatic work or nutrition, or come to see us for a strength training workout, our number is 626-999-4850. Or you could visit thestrengthshop.com. And we spell strength shop, the strength shop, with the SHOPPE, like we were in old
Old
time England.
English. Yeah, that sounds great. That's great. And then if we can get any information to you on care planning,
Yeah.
getting any kind of resources to starting your Shape Up 7 and getting those goals going for yourself, please feel free to reach out to us at 626-359-0108. If you want that perk, just reach out to Ginny. She'll get that out to you too. I want you to have a fantastic weekend. If you want to join us in the park, we'll be in Library Park at sunset with our butterflies. And have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.